Welcome to today's episode of Engineering Success Profile Editions. Today we're joined by Honorary Professor Dr Larissa Suzuki. Larissa is a computer scientist, an author, an engineer, an entrepreneur and an inventor. But today we're really going to focus on computer scientist. So hi Larissa and welcome to the show.
Hi Jamie, thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here on the show today.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. Can we start right at the beginning? Why did you choose a career in engineering?
Well, to me, it was a very natural step. For me, like I always liked things that changed the state and machines and things. So when I was younger, I used to get gifts that were electronic toys, and I used to put them apart, and that really annoyed a lot of people. So I started only getting clothing and socks from the age of 6 because people didn't want to give me electronic toys anymore, because I wanted to put them apart to see how they worked and how I could make them to work in a different way. And so my dad was a civil engineer, and he was very fascinated by stuff that stayed still, like for thousands of years. And I wanted to make those things to move because I found so boring. They're standing still, although it's quite important. But I'm more on the mechanical side, on the electronic side. So when I was little, I also played the piano and the violin. And my parents, they wanted me to pursue a career in music. So I went to university when I was 15 to study music. But then my passion for engineering called me very, very hardly. And then I was a dropout from music, and then I switched to computer science, and I never stopped. And I fell in love with the profession, and I am in the profession for 16 years and counting.
So did you take the traditional route into engineering with university, getting your degree and graduating that way?
Yes, so when I joined university, I did the 4 years university degree in computer science. I was the only female and the only female to graduate. And I was a valedictorian student, and I was chosen by the Brazilian Computer Society as the best student of that class, which was something quite good because I was amongst 40 boys, and it was only me there. And I took that traditional route of doing the computer science degree. Then I wanted to specialize a little bit more into research for me to be an independent professional. So I did an MPhil in electrical engineering, working with technologies to help us to cure breast cancer. And then I did that, but I was working in industry full time. I was a lecturer. I then worked in organizations like IBM, Arup, Oracle. I worked also for London government under Boris and Sadiq government. And then I did my PhD as well. And when I finished my PhD, I was like, it's now the time for me to fully dedicate myself to industry and to help us to transfer academic knowledge to corporate practice. And which is something that I found to be quite important. So I consider myself an independent scholar. And also a strong professional in engineering.
So obviously you're a computer scientist. Can you explain a little bit more about what that role actually entails?
Well, yeah, computer science is something really fascinating. I know I'm very biased, but I want to let people know that everything you hear about computer science being you and your computer in the basement, not showering, not talking to anyone, that's all a big lie. That is not the case. The case is that computer science is something very collaborative. It's a field of science in which we use computers to solve real-world problems. So as a computer scientist, you can be a doctor for the world. And I mean that because you can work in biotechnology, you can work in agriculture, you can work in medicine, you can work in retail, you can work on any area, any industry, solving real problems using techniques, using computer code, using artificial intelligence, using software design as well. So computer science is not only about coding, it's about designing and ensuring the user has a very good computer and engagement, has also a very good user experience. So in computer science, you can be programmer, a product manager, you can be also a technical program manager, you can be like a UX designer, a user experience designer.
Yeah.
So there are many things that you can do in computer science. So it's very multidisciplinary, and most of the projects, they are super interesting, because no matter which industry you are, you're going to be the computer scientist, and you're going to engage with people from very different backgrounds. So when I was working in medicine, I was in meetings with neurosurgeons,
Right.
with therapists, with people with many different backgrounds in medicine, in bioengineering, in physics as well, to study the equipments of the devices where I would process the image. So it's very collaborative, and it's an amazing field to be, because you are not restricted to any field of science. So you have the freedom to do whatever you want, and the sky is not your limit, because we do work on this. I work on the interplanetary internet.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond space.
Yeah.
So that's something that's quite fascinating about the field.
I know your passion is to create and use technology for the benefit of mankind. Can you share some examples of this? Because I don't think many people really truly understand what that means.
Yes, so I can give an example. For instance, when I did my MPhil, that I was working with cancer diagnosis. So breast cancer is one of the illnesses that affect a lot of women around the world. And in the UK, for instance, we have on a yearly basis around like 60,000 people with that illness. And the chances of curing that illness increases in 30% if diagnosed at the early stage.
Yeah.
So you could pretty much create just a technology to detect where you can find tumors or microcalcifications. However, we have to think about the society we're building that technology for. And what I did, when we look at the society, what we have two dynamics here. We have the people, in which we have young women and older women, so they have the breast tissue very differently. And you also have different technology. You might have hospitals that might not be that very well advanced, might not have the very nice equipment. And we have hospital with like amazing and modern computer equipment to do the exams, to do the mammography exam. So when I say doing things for the benefit of mankind, is to ensuring that you're going to serve all the populations. So in my MPhil, the work that I did served to diagnose breast cancer in young and older women because of the algorithm that I built to identify different textures. And also, we also created a way to identify which equipment should generate the image for us to do the reverse.
Right.
So any introduction of noise or degradation in the image, we could do the inverse to restore that image before we could classify whether there's a cancer or not. So that is what I say about creating something for mankind. It has to serve the entire of the population, and I'm very passionate about this.
So being a computer scientist, what's the most challenging part of your job?
I think it is to be creative and also to solve problems in a way that is going to be optimal, because we can kind of try to solve problems in brutal force, like let's just do this something very quickly to solve this problem, but being creative to create algorithms that are optimal, that will process information very fast, is something quite different. And I think that is one of the challenges. And I work in the field of AI. So I'm the data practice lead for UK and Ireland in the UK, and that falls under data falls AI, data analytics, and data management. And in the field of AI, there are many things related to ethics that we want to embed this into the technology. So I think optimizing things to serve humankind better, I think that is one of the most complex issues that we are seeing now.
So on the reverse of that, so what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Well, I think it's when you see a finished product being used by billions of users. It's something that gives you like a very, very big smile on your face and a sense of accomplishment. And also seeing that the technology that you put outside, even if used by very little or a lot of people, then it's making a change.
Yeah.
So as I said before, I worked with cancer diagnosis and helping to diagnose cancer at an early stage is something amazing, fascinating. I worked also creating applications for young people to find work experience and also to suggest technical fields for girls,
Right.
something
Yeah.
that they didn't consider before. So seeing that the lives of people can be changed to technology, it's something that makes me to feel very, very fulfilled.
Yeah.
So that is the best thing about being a computer scientist.
Yeah. So you're actually an award-winning computer scientist. You're an author, an engineer, entrepreneur, inventor. How do you manage to fit it all in?
I think it's because I have so much passion for technology, and I am someone who is autistic, and I also have ADHD.
Yeah.
So when you see me like this, like I'm very calm because I'm taking medications for ADHD, but I'm someone like very, very like with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And when I saw that I had ADHD and autism, I started realizing that I had in fact superpowers because I was so interested in one field and I had tons of energy that I could dedicate to that field alone. And I think that helped me very much. So I see the ability part of my disabilities, and then I use that to my very own benefit.
Yeah. So having being autistic and having ADHD, how has that impacted your career? Has it helped your career, or has it held you back? Have people seen you differently when you've told them? How has it impacted?
In some industries, I faced a lot of prejudice for having autism and for having ADHD. I am thankfully now I am in an organization that values us so much. So I'm very happy with all the support that I have where I work at the moment. But it kind of made me to feel like very, very enthusiastic about many things at the same time, many things, and then the danger of that is that you never finish this. So the good thing about having mentors is because mentors can help you to narrow down and to focus on something. So very early in my career, I started having mentors that I disclosed that I had such conditions, so they could help me. Okay, Larissa, you are going too broad. You have to narrow it down, otherwise you will never gonna finish your PhD or something like this. And then I was like, oh, and then my autism, like with my passion for something, helps me to be very concentrated on that particular field. So I see that it caused me some troubles, but it made me quite unique, because I think we are like puzzle pieces. We are not we cannot trim away the irregularities of puzzle pieces, make them rectangles and put them together. We have to find a way to merge them together, because our uniqueness is what makes us to bring so much to this world. And I think that what made me unique helped me to succeed in my career and be where I am. And I believe I'm just at the start, at just the beginning. I'm in the industry for 16 years, but I think that I still have a long way to go. And I want to continue contributing and also raising the awareness that if you know someone with autism, you just know one person. You cannot generalize. And 1 in 4 people, I think around 1 in 45 people, they are on somewhere in the autistic spectrum. So you might have known someone with autism, but not realized that before. So one of the things that I think helped me in my career as well was to disclose this to helpful employers and to ask for some accommodations. So for instance, noise canceling devices to help me to avoid having sensory issues because I have migraines. And those are the things that helps. But the industry has to change and to ensure that it accommodates people with different needs, because then we can be our best version at all the times if we are supported.
So what skills do you think are needed for a career in the STEM fields?
I think just curiosity is just like enough for you to just start exploring and playing around with things, and play around in in a way that you don't feel you have to commit on this for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because you can be an engineer today and then tomorrow, oh, you know what? I like too much this other field. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
We have to stop thinking that career is something like this.
Yeah.
Most of the time careers are like the
Yeah,
case in
that's
the
right.
voice and sometimes they take different shapes and forms. And we have to have the curiosity to understand what is behind certain things.
Yeah,
so Mary Curie once said, I'm going to misquote her, but she has a quote in which she says that nothing in life is to be feared, it's only to be understood.
Yeah.
And the more we understand, the less we fear that thing. So now it's time to learn more, so we might fear less. So I think that having the curiosity to experiment, to see, to talk, to question why and what it does and why, for what purpose, I think it's something quite fascinating. And I think also we have to demystify the field to show to people that we are not just creating pieces of equipment, we are creating something that is affecting and impacting humanity, and for very good. So we have to make sure that people understand that everything that we build, that we create, is going to be something that's going to impact the lives of people around us. We are giving a purpose to people. So I think that is something quite important. Just having the curiosity is the first thing. And forget about stereotypes, forget about forget about that, because we are rewriting history now. Throughout history, women and men, they have been contributing to science and to engineering equally, but women have been erased from history. Now we are rewriting their history. So for the moment, while we rewrite the history, try to forget about stereotypes and focus on what someone can accomplish with the engineering.
So what would your advice be to a future computer scientist?
Well, my advice would be to be very curious, to ask questions, ask us a lot of questions, especially when we are designing a product, like who's going to use this, how someone will benefit from it, how can I make this to serve, to mirror the society we are building this product for, and just come and understand that technology is way beyond programming and coding a computer. You are telling a computer what to do, which is something quite powerful, because we get giant machines to do what we want. But the applicability is something enormous, and you can accomplish astonishing things. So I truly recommend people to forget the stereotypes, just bring your own curiosity and just experiment. And also, if someone is trying to crack into the field, but doesn't want to commit, try to go to different societies. So for instance, we have STEMETS, that is a kind of organization that helps young women to understand coding and to code, and provides this in a very safe environment. So I recommend people to try to find those safe environments. So for instance, autistics in tech, Black women in tech, and go to those groups and try to feel like a little bit protected, like to try out without having the shame of, oh, I might not get it right. Find those groups that they are very supportive, and then just to try out. And then if that is really your call, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. And then you're going to be very happy in the field.
And finally, you know, we know there's a huge skills shortage in engineer, and I know you do a lot of outreach work. What's your message to young people to attract them into engineering?
Well, I think that the future depends on engineering. Engineering is all about human survival. We rely a lot on finite resources. We are not going to have them anymore. We have destroyed our planet with pollution, with killing our trees. So we need a lot of technology to help us to restore the planet for the next generations to come. So it's on the hands of the younger generation to create that planet, to create a smarter planet for us. So I think that is the message that I would like to leave to them, that the future is in their hands, and engineering is all about human survival, and they can be doctors for the world in any area that they choose to operate. Let's put it this way.
Larissa, that's it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly enjoyed it, and it was a pleasure.